Have you ever wondered if the advice you're following for growing your real estate business that will actually make you money is wrong? Well, I believe a lot of it is, so it's holding you back. In fact, I know it is, because in December 2019, I changed everything. I ignored most of the BS advice. I started from scratch. In 5 years, I closed 900 deals, generating $2 million in net commission as a new realtor using a new system. This system has not only worked for me, it's worked for countless others. I'm excited because today I'm gonna give you the exact blueprint to go from 0 closed deals to making $1 million in real estate without worrying how big your sphere of influence is, because it's not even a metric that we're gonna track. In this deep dive, you're gonna discover exactly what to focus on, then what awful, outdated advice you can ignore so you can start getting results like you can see on the screen right now.
The 2 sales, it was about $1 million in volume. It was definitely one of my best months in real estate.
In just a few short months, I went from making $0 to making $25,000.
We made $3,000 for like a quarter of a day's work.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, will this actually work for me? This will work for you if you want to solve a problem with your real estate business. So you help families solve the problem of finding a home. If you're closed-minded, it's definitely not the right system. Feel free to watch it, but otherwise, I would not do this if you can't think for yourself. But how do I know this actually works? I wanted to test this system out. So I got 300 realtors in 2024. I put them through it. On average, the best agent made $10,000 in their first 30 days of launch. Some of them even more. Also, only a handful of them made under a couple of thousand. It ranged a lot. Some people went past like $40,000 a month. It was life-changing money for these agents. It worked for Evelyn. She went from almost quitting real estate to closing like a dozen deals in 30 days. But the most impressive thing was she made $80,000 in her first 4 months. You literally made $80,000 in commission.
I would have given up. I mean, I cannot thank you enough. And I have told so many people, the only reason I stayed in real estate is because of you.
Absolutely exceptional. It worked for Charlie, who closed 19 deals in 30 days after learning this new system.
You're making almost $50,000 in a month.
I had the craziest month I've ever had in real estate. It was around like $43,000 to $45,000. I got a buyer, I got a listing, and 17 rentals in 1 month.
It's insane. It worked for Sam Joseph, a part-time agent. He went from closing a couple deals here and there to $39,000 profit in a few months. What's your profit after 4 months?
So it would be $39,000 or so. Back in my job, I would make a bonus like twice a year, and like you'd only get like $3,000 for the bonus for like half a year's work.
Once Sam started making more money while doing this part-time, he was able to quit his full-time 9-to-5 job and is now devoting all his energy to real estate. The thing I love about this system is it's the most sustainable one. It enables you to get quick results. It means you can do this without having any network or experience. I have such an overwhelming amount of proof that this works, so I'm actually very excited to share this thing with you today. So with that in mind, what's the strategy we're gonna use to grow your real estate business from 0 so you can make $1 million? Well, the first thing is we're not gonna do cold calling for sale by owners because it's been done to death already. By the time you call one of these FISBOs, that poor owner has gotten like 50 calls that very day. He's gonna quickly tell you to piss off the second you try your script on them. You're gonna lose all your motivation. We're not gonna door knock either. It's great for good-looking agents that have a ton of patience and are personable, but for people who don't look like Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie, everyone hates door knocking on strangers' doors. We're also not gonna look at holding open houses because let's face it, nobody is even showing up anymore, so it's really not worth your time. We can forget about sending out mailers. Nobody has 9 months, tens of thousands of dollars just to pray one of these sellers calls you back out of the blue. These are all great strategies that used to work 5 years ago. But because of the current market conditions that we're in, it's not the way to do real estate anymore. I mean, in terms of this new system, what I'm gonna do is a night and day difference from what you've always been told by every other agent out there.
If you've ever made a cold call in your life, you understand how important the first 10 seconds is.
How to transition from working mostly with buyers to becoming a dominant listing-focused agent.
The opening line of a cold call is kind of the make it or break it.
So let me ask you a question. If you wanted to catch some fish, what would you do? Would you sit with one single rod, just waiting for one fish to come and bite it? Or would you set up a giant net to scoop up thousands of fish at a time? Obviously, you do the latter because the first one is slow, but it's not really gonna build anything that meaningful. Just catching one fish at a time does nothing for you. The way that most people are taught to do real estate is to work with buyers and sellers. The whole idea of sales is you make one big commission check at a time. Then you wait another couple months for another buyer or seller to come along, just like that one fish to that one bait. They sit around for ages just thinking, oh, all I need is one big deal, then I'm good. They watch these other agents online talk about making $15,000 a deal like it's as simple as baking a cake. Then when they close 0 deals after 6 months, wonder, wow, what went wrong? I followed all their advice. What did I do? I'll tell you what you did. You didn't do real estate the right way. It doesn't work like that. The stats have made it very clear that 71% of agents closed 0 deals in 2024. So the problem with buyers and sellers is you're not getting enough leads. There just isn't that many out there right now because the market is so screwed up. Also, buyers and sellers use very specific agents. If you haven't built a name for yourself yet, good luck competing against the other agents that have. What that means is, on average, 70% of agents fail in their very first year in a good market. But in a shit market like we're in right now, there's a 90% failure rate. Also, if you do manage to get one of these buyers or sellers under contract, there is so much that will go wrong. Most of your deals are gonna fall apart before you even reach the finish line. You could literally be waiting 3 months on a deal to close, then all of a sudden, the buyer or seller backs out for one of 1,000 different reasons. Let me give you a personal example. I had a buyer that was just problem after problem the second we got under contract, but I did solve each problem as they came up. After spending like 80 hours on this buyer deal, guess what happened? Yeah, a day before the closing, we went to do our final walkthrough, like normal. The roof ended up caving in from a rainstorm the night before. The seller refused to fix it, even though he was legally obligated to do so. We got our lawyers involved, the brokerages. Guess what happened? The seller ultimately said, I don't care, sue me. I'm sure you've been there too if you're an experienced agent. But if you want to build a business and a real network that actually makes a crazy amount of money, you need a ton of leads coming in every single day. In 2025, sales does not do that. So I'm gonna show you how to dominate your local real estate market, how to generate hundreds of leads a day, close dozens of deals a month, then build a huge business off the back of it. This is Mike. He sent me this picture recently to say I was right. He was skeptical at first when he first heard about my strategy. He'd been taught and even paid someone to teach him one of the traditional methods. He was struggling to pay his rent at the time, but he did my method. He closed 8 deals in his first 30 days. It's night and day. You're gonna build a business so different from what you have been told by your brokers, your team leaders, your mentors, just about every agent you've ever spoken to. Because of that, you're gonna close more deals, make more money than only going after the buyers and sellers than you ever could. Remember, I've made over $2 million in net commission just working with rental deals alone. But don't get me wrong, I've also had a lot of buyers and sellers as well, but they all came from my renters. Let me tell you, I do around 10 sales per year with 0 marketing whatsoever for buyers or sellers. But I'm still making over $500,000 per year just by focusing on rental leads. Okay, so what's the first step of the blueprint to go from 0 to $1 million as a realtor in 2025? First, you need to generate leads. I'm gonna show you guys all the different ways I get rental leads because I realized throughout my years that if you don't have leads coming in, you have no business. Think of your business as a pyramid. At the base of your pyramid, you have the leads. Then a level up, you have your clients, then your showings, then your offers, all the way up to the top, which is your commission check, you getting paid. So like I said before, the very first step in any kind of real estate business is generating leads. Now, I've been focusing on rental leads this entire time. The first 5 years I've been doing real estate. So I've built a big enough database with my renters that are actually turning into buyers. Instead of doing 10 purchases per year as I'm doing right now, I'm gonna start doing 100 to 200 purchases a year because I'm gonna start focusing more on my database once the market switches to a buyer's market. This way, I'm gonna convert my old renters into buyers at a 30% ratio. I've closed over 900 of these deals. Do the math on that. It's millions of dollars in commission. I have a system, I call it the 369 system, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the video, but that's what's gonna get these kind of results. For now, let me talk about how to actually get the rental leads, because that's where you need to start. So there's 3 different strategies to get rental leads. I call it my rental system. The very first one I'm gonna talk about is a Facebook marketplace strategy to generate tenant leads. So you might be sitting there wondering, Facebook marketplace? Isn't that for selling cars and baseball cards and home good items? Well, yes, it is, but also you can post rental listings on Facebook marketplace. But when you do, you're gonna get a tremendous amount of leads flooding in. At the peak, I was getting about 200 leads coming in every single day just from having about 150 listings up on Facebook marketplace. The beauty is, none of these were my actual listings. But if you're sitting there thinking, well, 150 rental listings that aren't yours, how did you do that? That's the best part. In South Florida, we have something called Any Broker Advertise. So if it says yes in my MLS, I'm inherently allowed to go and put that property up on Facebook Marketplace or any other site that I choose. Now, there are some caveats. We have to give courtesy to the listing brokerage, copy everything directly, etc. Because at the end of the day, it's not my listing. I'm just advertising it for the actual listing agent. So the whole goal here is to bring them a tenant. But don't think that this is not gonna work for you if you don't have that Any Broker Advertise in your MLS. That's quite all right. There's a few ways around this. You could always petition to your board of realtors to add that into your MLS, but even if that doesn't happen, just reach out to the listing agents to ask them for permission to advertise their property. It's really that simple. In my very best month, I did about 30 rental deals, which was about $60,000 in commission just from those rental deals, not including any of the house sales I got in addition to that. So to answer your question, yes, this strategy does work because we get about half a month's rent commission for bringing a tenant doing an MLS property. Now, this might vary in your state, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but I'll show you how you can make this extremely profitable no matter how much you get paid from the actual landlord. That month, I did 30 rental deals. Coincidentally, that month, I also got a sale. It was a renter that I turned into a buyer. I made another $14,000 commission. So I made about 74 grand in 1 month, all by generating rental leads. I've done better in my career as well. In 1 single month, I had a massive house sale for $3.4 million, which I made 85 grand from. But guess where that buyer came from? He came from a rental deal off of Facebook Marketplace. Years prior, I had worked with him. We had done a couple rental deals together, but then one day he calls me up because obviously I stay in contact with him. Then he said, Andy, I'm doing really well now. I want to buy a house instead of renewing my lease. Boom! Just like that, I get an $85,000 commission check once we close the deal. It was using the exact strategy I'm gonna teach you by going to Facebook Marketplace, posting these rental listings, then getting tenants to reach out to you. Doesn't involve any cold calling whatsoever. So once you post the listing on a site like Facebook Marketplace, you can convert the leads into actual clients of yours. They're gonna typically reach out to see the property, asking if it's available. From there, just use your sales skills, your communication skills to convince them to work with you. Once you do, go and show them the property. Now, worst case scenario, if that property that I was trying to show, let's say went under contract, or I took them there and they didn't like it, well, all I did was set them up directly in my MLS. So this way they can see another new listing or multiple listings. I'll show them any other properties that they might like even better than the initial one. Or maybe they didn't get accepted for that first property. Maybe we put an offer in. So you always want to set them up on your MLS as a backup. I'm telling you right now, it's a genius strategy. To get a lot of leads coming in, then just make connections, because that's the whole goal of real estate. You have to have conversations, get on the phone, talk to as many people as possible every single day. I found a system to do that consistently. Think about it. There was only 4 million house sales last year, but there was 45 million rentals. 90% of the population in America is renting. It's by far the largest source of leads you could possibly draw from. If you're ignoring the rental leads right now, you're ignoring making money. Then remember, you can also convert some into buyers right now, then 30% later on in a year or two. But don't forget, you also get friends and family referrals if you're talking to hundreds of people per week. I literally get a new referral every couple days now because I closed 250 deals a year. So everyone I work with spreads my name around. After 900 total closed deals, that's why I have so many referrals flooding into me. Then when they go look me up on Google, they're gonna see I have 630 5-star reviews on Rentspree. They're gonna look up my Google business page with great reviews. They're gonna look up my Instagram, my YouTube channel. I don't even have to sell them on working with me. They're gonna be sold already before I even pick up the phone. Most agents do not wanna work with renters. I have no earthly clue why, because you can make tens of thousands of dollars every single month, just like I have, and just like all the other agents, like Charlie, Evelyn, Balaz. I went and showed you guys before. I have dozens and dozens of agents that have made tens of thousands per month. By the way, there's only so much info I can give in one tiny YouTube video. So I created a program that I called Rich with Rentals. That will teach you the hundreds of things that you need to master in order to actually make $50,000 a month. Guess what? All of those agents I showed you before have in common. Every single one of them went through my program. So everything that I'm going through right now, I'm gonna break down exactly step by step, A to Z in order. But I go in depth on exactly how to do all of these techniques. Obviously, it would take me way more than a 30-minute YouTube video to actually teach you how to close 30 deals a month. So if you're interested, I'm gonna drop a link in the description so you guys can check out my site to see if it's a good fit. So now back to the video. Once you get these leads coming in off of Facebook Marketplace, all you have to do is basically set up a showing for them. If they like the property, you put an offer in. I do anywhere from 0 to 3 showings max per tenant that I work with, which I'm going to explain how I do that in a second. There is no reason to ever do more than 3 showings per client. But when I put my offers in, I'm just doing a simple contract to lease. It takes me about 30 seconds to type it up. Then I'm gonna get the credit report, rental application, proof of income, driver's license, then put that together in a full package. After that, I'm just gonna send it over to the listing agent. The listing agent is either going to accept it, negotiate with me, or deny it. But what if the tenant's credit is bad, let's say, or the income isn't great? I came up with a brilliant solution for that. Really, it's a genius strategy. In cases like this, before even doing the showing, you can do a simple Rentspree credit background eviction report, rental application, generate the proof of income, driver's license, write up the offer, send it in as a pre-offer. It's basically universally accepted, so I can just copy and paste it for as many properties as I want. This saves so much time since you only show the tenants the properties that they get accepted to first. You guys can also sign up for Rentspree in the description. It's completely free, just use my link. So anyways, if you can convince the tenant to do the application first, you don't even have to do a showing before you know if the owner or the listing agent will even say yes to them. But let me give you a little tip here. You want to help as many people as humanly possible, regardless if they are qualified or not. That's one of my big secrets. In my first year of real estate, I only closed about 50 deals. I know that sounds like a lot, but just wait. My second year, once I started working with everybody, I closed 170 deals. Then my third year, once I mastered this strategy, I closed 250 deals. The more people that you help, the more deals you're gonna close. Forget about the money. Forget about the commission. Forget about trying to close deals. that's all gonna come after you shift your mindset. You wanna truly help as many people as humanly possible. The consequence of that is a lot of closed deals, a lot of commission checks. Trust me guys, when you do that, your entire business is gonna change. People can feel this genuine energy. They can feel those vibes coming from you, that you're a caring, a loving person that enjoys what they do. When I did that, that's when my business really started to transform. Like I said, in my first year, I only closed 50 deals. I did make about 80,000 in commission, but that second year when I closed 170 deals, guess what? I made $256,000 in commission. I became an icon agent with EXP Realty. I believe at that point I was number 5 in the world. Then the next year after that, when I closed 250 deals, I made $510,000 in net commission. Again, reaching icon for EXP, becoming the number 3 ranked agent in the world. Doing all of the exact strategies I'm telling you right now. So going back to working with the renters, once you actually get them to say, yes, I want this property, you do the Rentspree or whatever kind of credit and background report that you're gonna run, as we were talking about before. Then you're gonna send the full package over to the listing agent, right? Just doing a little recap here. Typically, the listing agent from here is gonna write up the lease agreement. So usually you don't even have to do that. All you have to do is get it signed. The landlord pays the commission in most states. So at this point, you can also do something really cool that's gonna make you even more money per deal. I charge a $300 transaction or admin fee to each tenant that I work with. So let's just say I'm making half a month's rent commission in my area. Let's call it $1,700. Now I charge the $300 transaction fee. I just made $2,000. That's why this system works so well regardless of the area that you're in. Let me give you an example. Even if you're in an area where you only make $200, $300 a deal, you can still charge that $300 transaction fee to the tenant. So you're gonna walk away with at least $600. Do 10 of these in a month, then you just made $6,000. But remember what I told you before, if you do 10 rentals a month, you're gonna convert 1 renter into a buyer. That's another $10,000 minimum. Do the math, that's $16,000 every single month. Worst case scenario, if you get a rental listing or if you do an apartment complex deal, which I'm gonna talk about those strategies in a second, you can make a full month's rent commission, which is gonna be a lot more than just half a month or less. That's a big part of how I was making $50,000 a month for the last 3-4 years straight. Okay, so going back to the actual MLS strategy, after you've put that offer in and hopefully it gets accepted, then you're gonna get it signed. Maybe there's an HOA, so you're gonna get the HOA application. All you have to do is send that over to the tenant, have them submit that to the HOA. You're not actually doing the paperwork for them, you're just assisting. Next, just collect 1 month's rent as a deposit, either with your escrow company, your brokerage, or the landlord. Once you do that, you are basically all set. You're gonna sit back, relax, wait for the final walkthrough for that deal. Think about it. There's almost nothing that can go wrong on a rental compared to a house sale. I've lost so many house sale deals over the years because crazy things pop up out of nowhere, but that rarely ever happens with rentals. Listen to this. One time I had a seller get arrested the day before the closing during a hurricane. His attorney couldn't get the closing documents to him to sign because the storm shut the jail down. I ended up losing that deal because the buyer got cold feet, using that as an excuse to back out since the seller was technically in breach of contract. I tell you, you can't even make this shit up. But that doesn't happen with a rental. They are so simple, anyone can do them. The real trick is learning how to do volume, then getting your commission check up to around $2,000 per deal, which is what my commission is. That's entirely possible anywhere in the entire country. Even if you're only getting $300 to bring a tenant, you can represent the landlord or go to an apartment complex. That $300 is gonna quickly average out to around $1,500 or $2,000 if you do this correct. Now, going back to the final walkthrough, it's basically like doing a showing in reverse. You just wanna make sure everything is in the same condition as it was before. The tenant is gonna bring last month's rent and the security deposit in exchange for the keys. Now, this is the cool part. You, as a realtor, get paid at this point. Typically, an average tenant moves in within 20 days of actually meeting you. These are very fast deals. But after the deal is closed, your job's not really done just yet. It is for that actual tenant, that actual property. But now you're gonna work on converting 30% of these closed renters into buyers using what I call my 369 system. Let me briefly explain this before going on to my apartment strategy and my rental listing strategy. So my 369 system is basically checking up with the tenant every 3 months, 6 months, and 9 months. Plus, there's a few other cool tricks that I picked up along the way, like sending out a weekly email, just following up with them on social media, things like that. It's how you stay in contact with them to stay top of mind. This way, you can turn your renters into buyers after their lease is up. You want to build a better relationship with your tenant because they're going to refer you out. Then they're going to use you again to either rent another home or hopefully buy a home. I'm going to go into this a little more, but remember how I told you you can make $1 million in real estate within the next few years. This is exactly how you do it. It's a huge part of it by turning your renters into buyers. Now, me personally, I've made millions of dollars just on the rental deals. But I know everybody's situation is different, so I want to give you guys even more options. Let's do the math on this. If you do 300 rentals over the next couple years, then get 30% of them to buy from you, that's 90 sales a year. That's over $1 million in commission. And that's in 1 year. You're going to keep repeating that because you're still going to close rentals. Or if you don't want to at that point, you can stop rentals and never have to do another one ever again. And let me tell you this, if you think doing 300 rentals in the next couple years is tough, guys, I did 250 in 1 year. You could at least do a third of what I did. That's only about 100 rentals a year. That's not that much. The crazy part is you do not need to do real estate for 20 or even 10 years to start making $1 million. A lot of agents out there say this is a lag business. You got to put in decades.
It took me 15 years and 15 hours a day to get to where I was making $1 million a year. It wasn't until the 15th year that I made the $1 million as an agent.
But that's not true. I did it in a few short years. You can too. But remember, in the build up to this, you're still gonna make hundreds of thousands of dollars per year just by getting the rental deals done, then getting the occasional renter to turn into a buyer. This is exactly how I became a millionaire in real estate very quickly. The biggest problem you're gonna have is having so much business coming in, you're not gonna know what to do with it all, which in my opinion is a sweet problem to have. So let's get back to the next rental lead strategy, because there's still 2 more techniques you have to learn if you actually want to make $1 million. So the last strategy I just explained was for tenant leads using an MLS approach. That was for your single families, your townhomes, villas, duplexes, etc. But you can also do this for apartment complexes to generate tenant leads, which I like to call apartment locating. You can go on apartments.com, then find apartment complexes to advertise just like you did for the MLS rental listings. It's very similar, but there is some slight changes. Instead of reaching out to the listing agent on the MLS, you're gonna reach out to the actual apartment complex. You wanna ask them if you can put their property up on, let's say, Facebook Marketplace, or a second method is social media. Let me explain both methods to you. The social media method is Reels on Instagram. Or the other method is getting photos, just like the MLS strategy, and putting them up on sites like Facebook Marketplace. Let me tell you, this is literally the easiest money you'll ever make in real estate, bar none. But there are a few cons which I'm gonna discuss. This works really well because you don't have to do any lease agreements. There's no applications, there's no deposits, there's none of that stuff. The apartment complex handles all of it. All you have to do is call the apartment complex, ask them if they pay a real estate commission. If they do, fantastic. Ask them if you can go take a quick reel or use their photos to post so you can bring a tenant to them. Typically, they're gonna be overwhelmed that you wanna help them get their occupancy rate up higher. Usually, they're gonna pay anywhere from $500 all the way up to a full month's rent in commission. So if the unit was, let's say, $3,500, guess what you make? Yeah, you make $3,500 with about 1 hour of work. All you basically have to do is show the property. In some states, you don't even need to do that. you can just give the apartment complex their name and you'll still get paid anyways. So let me explain how to do the social media strategy. Once you get the permission, go and take a reel. Take that reel and put it up on Instagram, or you could do TikTok, but Instagram does work a little bit better. Then you're gonna get a lead generation form. It's gonna be like an opt-in form from Google that you can use to collect people's contact information. The other way to do it is, like I said before, with the MLS strategy, by taking photos, then putting them up on Facebook Marketplace. It's gonna be very similar. They're gonna reach out to you just asking if they can go and see that apartment complex. The ultimate goal here is to convince them to see the property, then apply for it. That's how you get paid. It's so stupid simple. I can't believe every single realtor doesn't have this strategy in their arsenal. Now, there's still one more really good strategy I wanna tell you about that you're gonna need, especially if your area doesn't pay a high commission for tenants. Meaning your MLS properties or your apartment complexes don't pay that much. It's getting rental listings. That's right, this time you're actually gonna get your own rental listing instead of asking for permission to advertise another agent's listing. Not only are you gonna get a full month's rent commission, you're gonna get a crazy amount of leads flooding in, just like when you posted the MLS or apartment complexes, but this time it's your listing, so you can double end it so you can get both sides. So you're gonna be reaching out to for rent by owners. We like to call them FRBOs. They are the most slept on lead generation source for getting your own rental listings. Nobody, and I mean nobody, calls them. Then of course you could also do this for expired or canceled rental listings. Remember how I taught you to turn renters into buyers? Well, here's the other cool part. Now you can also turn landlords into sellers. But that's not the ultimate goal here, at least not yet. You're gonna make more than enough money just getting the rental listing and then the tenant leads, so you do not need to sell the property. If you get a combination of 10 rental listings plus 10 actual tenants every single month, then you're gonna close at least 2 sales. You're gonna make minimum $60,000 in commission in 30 days. Because remember, when you close 10 rental deals, you're gonna convert 1 renter into a buyer or landlord into a seller. So if you do 20 deals, you're getting 2 extra sales. Remember, 9 out of 10 people are renting instead of buying. That's why this works. But the most beautiful part, you don't have to do any marketing for buyers or seller, which is gonna cost you thousands of dollars that you can save. You don't need to spend it. That means this is all gonna be pure profit. It's not about how much money that you make, it's about how much you keep. Sure, you can go and spend $10,000 a month on Zillow Premier buyer leads, but guess what? If you only close 1 deal a month, you're essentially breaking even. This strategy, you'll probably spend, I don't know, a few $100s a month with your MLS fees, your brokerage fees, etc. You don't even have to spend any money in marketing if you don't want to. Then you're gonna make pure profit from that. I promise you're gonna close more buyers and sellers if you only focus on the renters. But you're gonna also make a ton of commission off the rental deals too. The buyers and sellers are just a bonus. Okay, so going back to getting rental listings, think about this for a second. Most people, I would say 99% of realtors, they're focusing on calling for sale by owners. That's what they're cold calling for. You're not gonna do that. 100 agents are calling the same poor for sale by owner seller every single day. But if you do the opposite of what everyone else is doing, that's when you're gonna start to see success. Just like I have. Just like the hundreds of other agents that I've taught have. Now, you can find these FRBO landlord leads or expired rental leads a few different ways. You can get them 100% for free on sites like Zillow or Trulia or your MLS, but you could also spend a few dollars a month by using a site like RedX. I mean, there's a million different sites out of there. Most of them are free. You could even go into your MLS, find all the rentals that were expired or canceled, then skip trace the owner. Now again, I teach exactly how to do all of this in my program, Richer Rentals. If you don't want to spend the next 3 years, tens of thousands of hours of trial and error trying to do this on your own, I can help. Regardless, this rental listing technique works incredibly well because nobody is doing it. Quite frankly, nobody is doing any of these strategies that I talked about. It's a wide open market. It has not been oversaturated yet. It is the last known system in real estate that is untapped. There's also multiple ways to go about getting these landlord leads if they don't even want to give you the actual MLS listing. I don't know why every agent isn't focusing on doing these things. It makes the most sense. It goes renter, buyer, seller. Why on earth are you skipping the very first stage in your real estate career? I don't care if you've been doing this for 10 years or 20 years. If you're not making at least $100,000 a year right now, then want to make $1 million, this is a proven path to do it. Especially in this market right now, where it's literally the worst market we've had since the 2008 crash by the numbers. Guess what? That just means rentals works even better because more people are renting now than ever before. Let me tell you, I cannot stress the importance of being remarkable, especially because of the times that we're in. Standing out from the crowd in a world saturated with ordinary agents giving subpar service that are all copying the same BS that doesn't work. I want to encourage you to try something truly different so you stick out. What's that saying? When driving through the countryside, you see hundreds of cows off in the distance, never stopping to notice a single one. But then suddenly a purple cow appears. You never forget that purple cow. If you use any of these 3 strategies that I just taught you, I promise you, you will be that purple cow. You're gonna have the easiest year you ever had in real estate. 99% of agents are looking for that one big check. They're ignoring the easy mode, which is the renters. Don't do that. Don't be one of those agents. Don't become one of those statistics. I became the #2 agent in the world last year just by working with the renters. I did this without a system. I had to create this from scratch. Imagine what you can do if you actually had the full system right now. Because of all this rapid success, I actually built a team last year, which I called the Andy Coleman team with EXP Realty. So if any of you are looking for a switch, if you like what you heard today, reach out to me. I'm gonna drop my email in the description. Okay, this is extremely important. We're gonna recap really fast. I just gave you the last 3 remaining strategies in real estate that have never been done before. That was an MLS tenant lead strategy, where you're gonna get rental leads from posting MLS properties. Next was the apartment locating strategy, where you're gonna get tenant leads into apartment complexes, which remember is the easiest money you're ever gonna make. Then a rental listing strategy, where you get the actual listing yourself from landlord leads. Then I also taught you how to turn your renters into buyers, which will make you a guaranteed millionaire within the next few years. All of these strategies are 100% free for you to do. You can try all of these on your own. You don't need me for that. Trust me, nothing will motivate you more than closing a deal than getting paid. It feels really nice closing a deal almost every single day. Your relationship with real estate is gonna completely change. If you've had a rocky year or last year was bad, this is gonna change all of that. If you made it this far in the video, I know for certain you're gonna make $1 million as a realtor. It's inevitable. Focus on what I just taught you. It's gonna be impossible to lose. Please do me one favor. Show YouTube that you like the video just by sharing it with a struggling realtor friend, and then please hit that like button for me. But if you love this video, don't forget to watch this one above.